Hey guys, welcome back to another video. This is Eric from eGatTech. I know I already did a stress test for these three phones, but I wanted to do it with the 3DMARK Wildlife Stress Test. I've heard that this was one of the most demanding tests that you can run on any phone, so I wanted to put the three Snapdragon 888 phones to the test. So what are we waiting for, guys? Let's get this torture test started. So before I start the test, I'm going to be running 3D Wildlife Stress Test a total of 2 times without the cooler. So that 3DMARK test actually runs or loops the test for a total of 20 times. And then it measures the frames per second or the FPS, including the temperatures and the battery that it drops. So it's a more scientific test than the one I did with the N22 benchmark. And we all know that the best cooler to use for any of these three phones is the Black Shark Fun Cooler Pro 1. So that's the only cooler that I'm going to be using for the cooler test. So I'll use the Fun Cooler Pro on the RedMagic 6 Pro, the Black Shark 4 Pro, and of course the Asus ROG Phone 5. And we'll see how it fares in that 20-minute stress test. Since I only have one cooler, guys, I have to resort to running the test one at a time. So I'll start with the RedMagic 6 Pro first, Black Shark 4 Pro, and then finally the ROG Phone 5. Since I can't add 3DMARK to Shark Space, guys, I'm not going to be running the dedicated game center for running this benchmark, just to keep things fair. So let's start the test in 3, 2, 1. Alright guys, first test is done. Stability on the RedMagic 6 Pro is 98.9%. In second, we've got the Black Shark 4 Pro with a stability of 96.9%, while the worst performing phone is the ROG Phone 5 with a stability of 90.7%. So let's not give it time to rest and let's start it over again. Alright guys, test 2 is done. None of the phones actually auto shut down, but in terms of stability, they've all gone down a bit except for the RedMagic 6 Pro. The stability of the RedMagic 6 Pro remains at an impressive 99.1%, followed by the Black Shark 4 Pro at 94.6% and the ROG Phone 5 at 84.4%. So now if you see the temperature, it's actually gone up to 49 degrees on the ROG Phone 5 and it's lost a total of 13% battery life. Now for the Black Shark 4 Pro, temps are really high. It almost hit 60. It maxed out at 58 degrees Celsius. Battery loss was from 69% to 47%, so that's around 22%. So that's pretty high for the Black Shark 4 Pro. And the RedMagic 6 Pro temperature was 52 degrees, not as high as the Black Shark 4 Pro, and in terms of the battery loss, we've lost 19%. So I guess what we can tell from these results is that the ROG Phone 5 is actually dialing down its performance in order to keep the temperature down, so it's not even reaching 50 degrees internally, which is why it's getting a stability score of 84.4%. So if you notice, after test number 10, it started to lower the performance just so the temperature won't get too high. But in the case of the Black Shark 4 Pro, it tried to maintain that performance all throughout, which has the effect of increasing the internal temperature. So this is the same case with the RedMagic 6 Pro. It's not even trying to lower the performance of the phone because it has that internal fan that helps keep temperatures at a pretty reasonable level. It's only maxing out at 52, but no negative impact on the performance. So this tells me that if all of them had an internal fan, then they would all perform pretty similarly. So I'll let the phones cool down now and I'll be running the test one time with the Black Shark Cooler Pro attached. Alright guys, so the phone should be pretty cool by now, so let me run the first test with the hottest phone among the three, which is the Black Shark 4 Pro. So give me a second here, I'll attach the Black Shark Fun Cooler Pro. And let's start the first test with the Black Shark 4 Pro. Alright guys, test number 1 is done. Stability of 99.7, so that cooler is a big help. So there's no throttling happening at all on the phone, and you can see here temperature maxed out at just 42 degrees internally. So let's move on to the next phone guys. Let's do the ROG Phone 5 next, because this is the second hottest phone. So when putting the Black Shark Phone Cooler Pro on the ROG Phone 5, I have to move it down away from the center because it's going to cover the power button. So when you orient it that it doesn't touch the power button, it automatically means that you're going to have access to that side port guys. So now let's do the ROG Phone 5 next guys. So 3DMARK Wildlife Stress Test in 3, 2, 1. Alright guys, so the wildlife stress test for the ROG Phone 5 is done. Best loop score 5773, lowest 5104. Stability still a bit low for me, it's 88.4%. I was actually expecting it to be better because temperatures are definitely down. I don't know why the phone is actually throttling the performance. So let's see here. Frame rate is still the same from 818 to 42, so performance didn't do that well. But the temperature only maxed out at 33 degrees Celsius. So that's a vast improvement over the 50 degrees Celsius and up that we're getting on our initial test without the cooler. Alright guys, so let's move on to the third and final phone, which is the RedMagic 6 Pro, powered by Nubia Tencent Games. So let's start the third and final test with the RedMagic 6 Pro guys in 3, 2, 1. Alright guys, final test is done. RedMagic 6 Pro has a high score of 5713, lowest loop score 5695 with a stability of 99.7. So virtually no throttling happening at all on the phone. So as you can see, it's a straight line from start to finish. Now if we go with the temperatures, it actually only maxed out at 40 degrees. Alright guys, so I'm done with the test. Good news is none of these phones actually shut off. So even though on the first few tests without the cooler the temperatures were really getting high, all the phones managed to stay alive. So for the first test without the cooler, your big winner is actually the RedMagic 6 Pro. That internal fan actually has a lot to do with keeping the temperatures under control. The RedMagic 6 Pro had the highest loop score of 5790 and also had the highest stability at 98.9%. In terms of maximum internal temperature, both the RedMagic 6 Pro and the ROG Phone 5 hit 47 degrees, while the Black Shark 4 Pro hit a pretty toasty 55 degrees guys, so it is the hottest phone among the bunch. And in terms of battery loss for the first test, the RedMagic 6 Pro lost 17, the Black Shark 4 Pro lost 22%, and the ROG Phone 5 lost 14. Now showing on screen is the results of the test 2, still without the cooler. And again, the RedMagic 6 Pro comes out on top in terms of stability. It actually got more stable with a 99.1% stability, followed by the Black Shark 4 Pro had a 94.6% stability, and in last place, the ROG Phone 5 with 84.4%. Now in this test, the ROG Phone 5 was actually the coolest phone at 49 degrees Celsius, and the hottest phone was the Black Shark 4 Pro, almost hitting 60, but it actually just hit 58 degrees Celsius guys. And the RedMagic 6 Pro with 52 degrees. In terms of battery loss, Black Shark 4 Pro again lost 22%, 13% on the ROG Phone 5, and 19% on the RedMagic 6 Pro. Now moving on to the final few screenshots and graphs for the test with the cooler. So as you can see here, both the Black Shark 4 Pro and the RedMagic 6 Pro benefited a lot from that cooler, hitting the same stability at 99.7, which actually means that there is no throttling happening on either of these phones with the cooler. And one interesting thing here guys is that with the cooler, the ROG Phone 5 only maxed out at 33 degrees Celsius, so that's a very low temperature, but the stability didn't improve. So that tells me that even though the temperatures were well under control, the phone decided to dial down the performance. The best loop score was 5700 and the lowest loop score was 5100, so it still decided to lower the scores or dial down the performance. So guys, I'm hoping that ASUS will release some updates to fix this because it definitely looks like a bug. You usually see phones decide to throttle the performance when the temperatures get too high. But in this case, temperatures didn't even reach 40 degrees, so why would the phone decide to dial down its performance? Well, I hope ASUS sees this video and decide to fix this problem. So lastly, in terms of battery, the Black Shark 4 Pro again lost 22%. While the RedMagic 6 Pro lost 17 and the ROG Phone 5 lost 14. So I guess I'll go ahead and wrap up this video, guys. Let me know in the comment section down below what scores you're getting on these devices, and do let me know if there are any other devices that you would want me to include in my usual testing and benchmarks. So with that said, a sub would be massively appreciated, guys. Please like and subscribe, hit that bell icon notification, and see you all on my next one.